which sign is in Sagittarius's destiny? Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with the feeling that something greater is calling you? As if there was an invisible thread pulling you toward a destiny you can't yet see, but can definitely feel. If the answer is yes, then get ready, because what you're about to discover will completely change the way you see your life. There is one sign in the zodiac that didn't come just to live, but to transcend. A sign that carries in its veins the sacred fire of the stars, and in its soul, a mission that crosses dimensions. That sign is Sagittarius. But what almost nobody knows is that Sagittarius doesn't walk alone through the cosmos. There are other signs written in its destiny, connections that weren't chosen in this lifetime, but orchestrated by the universe long before you were born. If you're a Sagittarius, know someone with this sign, or simply feel this energy vibrating within you. This video didn't reach you by chance. Nothing in the universe happens by chance. Today you're going to discover which sign is intertwined with Sagittarius's destiny in such a profound way that it will make you question everything you thought you knew about connections, love, and purpose. Before we continue, do this. Subscribe to this channel right now. Activate the notification bell so you don't miss any astrological secret the universe has kept for you, and leave a comment saying what your sign is. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why certain encounters in your life weren't coincidences, but cosmic reckonings. Take a deep breath. Prepare your heart. Because the truth about Sagittarius is about to be revealed, and it will touch your soul in a way you never imagined. Sagittarius was born with an invisible arrow pointed at infinity. But this is no ordinary arrow. It wasn't made of wood or metal. It was forged in the very essence of the cosmos, tempered in the fire of stars, and carries a power that few understand, the power to cross not just space, but time, dimensions, and even the barriers of reality itself. When you look at the symbol of Sagittarius, you see a centaur, half man, half horse, holding a bow pointed at the sky. But this symbol hides an ancient secret. The centaur represents the duality of human existence, the constant battle between animal instinct and divine consciousness. The horse part symbolizes earthly desires, the need for movement, for physical freedom. The human part represents the spiritual quest, the thirst for answers that the material world can never satisfy. And the arrow, the arrow is what transforms Sagittarius into something beyond a simple sign. The arrow is pure intention. It's the moment when the soul decides it will no longer accept the limitations imposed by the visible world. It's the instant when you look at the horizon and say, I was made for more than this. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the benevolent giant, the planet of expansion, wisdom, faith, and abundance. Jupiter knows no limits. It doesn't understand the word impossible. That's why those born under this influence carry within them a restlessness that can never be completely extinguished. It's as if there's a voice constantly whispering, go further, seek deeper. There's something greater waiting for you. But here's what many don't realize. Sagittarius isn't just seeking knowledge. It's seeking meaning. It doesn't just want to live, it wants to understand why it's alive. It doesn't just want to love. It wants to discover what love is in its purest and most transcendental form. Every step Sagittarius takes is a question thrown at the universe, and every experience is an answer disguised as a lesson. That's why Sagittarius's life is rarely linear. While other signs build their lives like a house, brick by brick, Sagittarius builds theirs like a map of adventures, new places, new people, new beginnings. Some call this instability. But the truth is that Sagittarius is doing exactly what it came to do. Expand, evolve, transcend. And here's the archer's great test, trust. Because when you shoot an arrow in the dark, you don't see the target. You have no guarantees. You only have faith. Faith that the universe will guide that arrow to where it needs to go. Faith that even when everything seems uncertain, there's a greater plan in motion. Many Sagittarians spend years of their lives running from this truth. They try to tie themselves down, stabilize, fit into the world's expectations. But destiny doesn't allow it, because when Sagittarius tries to deny its nature, the universe intervenes. Relationships end. Jobs stop making sense. Cities that were once home become prisons. Until finally, the Archer understands. Resisting the call costs more than following it. But there's something that hasn't been said yet. Something that completely changes the game. Behind this insatiable search for freedom and truth, there's a hidden spiritual mission. Sagittarius didn't just come to find the light. It came to be the light. It came to illuminate paths that others are afraid to walk. It came to show that it's possible to believe even when everything says to give up. And it's precisely because of this mission that the universe placed other signs in Sagittarius' path. Signs that aren't there by chance, but were strategically positioned to awaken, challenge, protect, and complete the Archer's destiny. In the next chapter, you'll discover the first of these signs, the sign that functions as a cosmic mirror for Sagittarius, the sign that challenges it to look within itself and question everything it thinks it knows about truth. They say Sagittarius belongs to every place, that it's too free to be contained, too wild to be tamed. But the universe keeps a secret that few know. There's a sign that can make Sagittarius stop, a sign that, when it crosses the Archer's path, creates a storm of curiosity so intense that even the freest spirit finds itself forced to look twice. That sign is Gemini. At first glance, it might seem strange. Sagittarius, the fire sign, ruled by Jupiter, always searching for the deep meaning of things. Gemini, the air sign, ruled by Mercury, always dancing between ideas, words, and infinite possibilities. But it's precisely in this difference that the most powerful magic lives, because Sagittarius and Gemini aren't just different. They are complementary opposites. They occupy opposite ends of the zodiac, forming what astrologers call the 3-9 axis, the axis of knowledge, communication, and truth. Think about this for a moment. Sagittarius looks at the sky and asks, "Why are we here? What's the purpose of all this?" Gemini looks around and asks, "How does everything work? What are the hidden connections between things?" One seeks philosophy, the other seeks logic. One wants to find God, the other wants to decipher the language of creation. But deep down, really deep down, both are doing the same thing, seeking truth, just through different paths. And this is where the connection between these two signs becomes almost magical. When Sagittarius meets Gemini, it's as if two halves of the same being finally look each other in the eyes. It's as if the universe says, "Look, here's someone who understands your thirst, but in a way you never imagined." Gemini challenges Sagittarius in a way no other sign can. While Sagittarius wants to fly away, Gemini pulls it back and says, "Wait, what if the answer you're looking for is right here, hidden in the details you didn't pay attention to?" While Sagittarius wants to find absolute truth, Gemini laughs and responds, "What if there are multiple truths? What if reality is much more complex than a single answer?" This irritates Sagittarius, but it also fascinates it, because for the first time someone isn't just following its ideas, someone is questioning, provoking, challenging. And for a sign that lives for the quest, finding someone who expands that quest even further is irresistible. But the connection between Sagittarius and Gemini goes far beyond philosophical debates and endless conversations. There's a deep emotional dynamic here. Sagittarius teaches Gemini to trust the invisible, to have faith even when logic says otherwise. Gemini teaches Sagittarius to come down from the clouds and realize that life also happens in small moments, in unspoken words, in subtle gestures. When these two connect romantically, it's a roller coaster. The attraction is instant. Conversation flows as if they've known each other for 1,000 lifetimes. They laugh at the same things. They understand each other's references without needing to explain. It's as if they speak the same language, but with different accents. But then comes the challenge. Sagittarius wants philosophical commitment, wants the other person to embark on the journey without questioning. Gemini wants mental freedom, wants to explore all possibilities before deciding. And that's when the cycle begins. Approach, distance, reunion, distance again. They attract like magnets, but also repel like opposite forces that haven't yet learned to dance together. But here's the secret. This dance isn't punishment. It's learning. Because every time Sagittarius and Gemini meet, they evolve. Every time they separate, they carry with them a lesson they couldn't have learned any other way. If you're a Sagittarius and you've crossed paths with a Gemini, think carefully. Did that person take you out of your comfort zone? Made you question things you were absolutely certain about? Showed you that truth isn't as simple as you thought? Then know this, that meeting wasn't casual. It was a karmic encounter. It was the universe showing you that the journey isn't about having all the answers, but about asking the right questions. Gemini is the mirror that reflects Sagittarius's own contradictions back to it. The archer who preaches freedom but sometimes imprisons itself in its own beliefs. The seeker who wants to expand, but sometimes fears looking within. Gemini appears precisely to break these illusions, to show that true wisdom isn't in being certain of everything, but in accepting that there will always be more to learn. And even when Sagittarius and Gemini don't stay together, even when destiny separates them, they forever carry the mark of this encounter. Because it's not about duration, it's about transformation. And few encounters transform Sagittarius like the encounter with Gemini. But Gemini isn't the only sign written in Sagittarius's destiny. There's another, one that doesn't come to challenge or question, but to protect. One that recognizes Sagittarius fire because it carries the same fire in its veins. A warrior who fights alongside the archer, not against it. In the next chapter, you'll discover who this cosmic protector is, the sign that gives Sagittarius the courage to move forward, even when everything seems impossible. Not every love comes to teach. Not every connection comes to challenge. Sometimes the universe sends someone with a different purpose, to protect, to guide, to reignite the flame when it's about to go out. And for Sagittarius, this cosmic guardian has a name, Aries. When Aries enters Sagittarius's life, something changes in the air. It's as if the oxygen becomes denser, as if each breath brings more life, more energy, more possibility. Because Aries isn't just another fire sign. Aries is the first fire, the primordial fire, the fire that existed before anything had form or name. And when this fire meets Sagittarius's sacred fire, there's no explosion, there's recognition. It's as if two ancient warriors who fought side by side in 1,000 battles, forgotten by time, finally reunite. They don't need to explain themselves. They don't need introductions. One look is enough. And in that look, there's a silent agreement. I protect you. You inspire me. I give you direction. You give me purpose. Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of action, courage, war, and impulse, while Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, thinks in terms of philosophy and meaning. Aries thinks in terms of movement and conquest. Sagittarius asks, "Where are we going?" Aries responds, "Doesn't matter, but let's go now." Sagittarius wants to understand the path. Aries wants to open the path. And it's precisely this difference that makes the connection between them so powerful. Because Sagittarius, as brave as it is, sometimes gets lost in its own reflections. It stops to think, to question, to consider all the philosophical possibilities of a decision. And while it thinks, opportunity can slip away. But when Aries is around, that doesn't happen. Aries doesn't let Sagittarius get lost in the labyrinths of its own mind. Aries takes the archer's hand and says, "Enough thinking. It's time to act." But make no mistake, Aries isn't there just to push Sagittarius into action. Aries is there to remind Sagittarius of who it really is. Because in some moments of life, the archer doubts itself. It looks at the arrow in its hands and thinks, "What if I miss the target? What if this journey isn't worth it? What if I'm not strong enough?" It's in these moments that Aries appears. And when Aries looks at Sagittarius, there's no doubt in its eyes, only certainty. Aries sees the warrior that Sagittarius forgot it is, Aries sees the strength the archer hasn't yet realized it has, and with simple, direct, almost brutally honest words, Aries says, "You were born for this. Stop doubting and start conquering." That's the magic of Aries in Sagittarius's life. Aries doesn't sugarcoat things, doesn't pretend everything's okay when it's not, but it also doesn't let Sagittarius sink. Aries is that friend who slaps you in the face to wake you up, but immediately after hugs you and says, "Now get up and let's go together." And when these two unite romantically, when these two unite, the whole world feels it, because it's not a peaceful connection. It's not a love of dreams and poems whispered under the moonlight. It's a love of fire. It's a love that burns, that transforms, that consumes everything false and leaves only naked, raw truth. It's a love that's not afraid of conflicts, because it knows that from friction comes evolution. Aries loves with absolute intensity. When Aries surrenders, it surrenders completely. There's no middle ground, no hesitation. And this fascinates Sagittarius, who is used to people who are afraid to surrender totally. Sagittarius sees in Aries the same courage it carries, the courage to be authentic, to not apologize for being who you are, to live at high voltage even if it scares others. But like every fire with fire relationship, there are challenges. Aries can be too impulsive for Sagittarius, who likes to have at least some sense of the horizon before departing. Sagittarius can be too restless for Aries, who, when it decides something, wants it to be definitive. Aries is the explosive beginning. Sagittarius is the infinite journey. One wants to conquer, the other wants to explore. But when they align these energies, when they decide they'll conquer while exploring and explore while conquering, then, my friend, nothing in the universe can stop these two. The connection between Aries and Sagittarius also works beautifully in friendships. They're those friends who call you in the middle of the night and say, "I got the car. I'm coming to get you. Let's do something insane." They're the friends who don't judge your crazy choices because they themselves are constantly making crazy choices. They're the friends who defend you tooth and nail, who never talk behind your back, who are always on your team. And here's something few realize. Aries appears in Sagittarius's life at specific moments. Moments of new beginnings, moments of crisis, moments when the archer is about to give up on the journey. It's as if the universe says, Sagittarius needs a push. Who's strong enough to do it? And the answer is always Aries. Aries doesn't fix Sagittarius, because Sagittarius isn't broken. Aries just reignites the fire that was about to go out. Aries reminds Sagittarius of the taste of adventure, the power of immediate action, the freedom that comes from not being afraid to fail. Aries is the spark, Sagittarius is the flame, and together they create a fire that illuminates not only their own lives, but also the lives of everyone around them. If you're a Sagittarius and you have an Aries in your life, whether as a friend, partner, or even rival, pay attention. That person isn't there to judge you. They're there to strengthen you. You might fight. You might drift apart. But when you really need someone who believes in you more than you believe in yourself, Aries will be there. Always will be. But Sagittarius's journey hasn't ended yet, because although Gemini is the mirror and Aries is the protector, there's a sign that goes beyond. A sign that didn't just come to awaken or protect. It came to complete, to co-create, to be the other half of the same flame. In the next chapter, you'll discover the sign the universe reserved as Sagittarius's true, romantic, and spiritual destiny. The sign that, when united with the archer, creates something that transcends human love and touches the divine. They say Sagittarius was born to walk alone, that its soul is too wild, too free, too vast to be contained by any earthly connection. But the universe keeps secrets that challenge even the most absolute truths, and one of these secrets is this. Sagittarius wasn't made to live alone. It was made to seek the one who understands it without words, the one who doesn't cage it but flies alongside, the one who doesn't diminish its light but shines beside it, until both become one incandescent flame. And that sign, the one that closes the cosmic cycle and returns meaning to the archer's journey, has a name that echoes through the ages: Leo. When Sagittarius's fire meets Leo's fire, the entire universe stops to witness, because it's not just any meeting. It's the meeting of two primordial forces that were forged in the same stellar furnace. It's as if the sun recognized a distant star and said, I've known you since before time existed. Leo is ruled by the sun, the king star, the gravitational center around which everything orbits. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the benevolent giant, the planet that expands everything it touches. When these two meet, there's no competition. There's cosmic collaboration. The sun illuminates, Jupiter expands. Together they create something that transcends the sum of their parts. They create wholeness. But to understand the depth of this connection, you need to understand what each of these signs represents at the deepest level of the soul. Leo is the sign of the divine heart. It's the manifestation of pure creativity, unconditional love, the courage to be authentically who you are without apologizing for taking up space. Leo doesn't ask permission to shine. Leo doesn't shrink to fit others' expectations. Leo simply is. And in this simple act of being, it becomes magnetic, irresistible, impossible to ignore. Sagittarius, on the other hand, is the sign of the seeking soul. It's the eternal traveler, the philosopher, the visionary who looks at the horizon and sees possibilities where others see only emptiness. Sagittarius doesn't seek the stage. Sagittarius seeks meaning, doesn't want to be admired, wants to be free, doesn't want power, wants truth. And here's the magic. When Leo and Sagittarius meet, each offers the other exactly what was missing. Leo teaches Sagittarius that it's possible to shine without losing essence, that occupying your place in the world isn't selfishness, it's honoring your purpose, that you can be seen, admired, celebrated, and still remain authentic. Sagittarius teaches Leo that true royalty doesn't come from crowns or applause, but from wisdom, that the heart is only truly noble when connected to something greater than itself, that shining alone is beautiful, but shining while illuminating the path for others is divine. When these two fall in love, it's as if the entire cosmos conspired in their favor. The attraction is immediate, visceral, undeniable. Leo looks at Sagittarius and sees someone who isn't afraid of its intensity, someone who isn't intimidated by its grandeur, someone who, instead of competing for the light, simply lights their own flame and says, "Let's shine together." Sagittarius looks at Leo and sees someone who won't try to cage it, someone who understands that true love isn't possession, it's partnership, someone who has enough strength to stay, but enough wisdom not to suffocate. The dynamic between them is a perfect dance of giving and receiving. Leo offers emotional stability without imprisonment, offers a safe harbor where Sagittarius can return after each adventure, knowing it will be received with the same love as always. Leo doesn't question Sagittarius's need to explore, doesn't feel threatened when the archer needs space, because Leo has absolute confidence in its own value. Leo knows that whoever is worthy of its love always returns. And Sagittarius offers Leo something few signs can offer: genuine admiration. Sagittarius doesn't flatter, doesn't pretend. When Sagittarius recognizes greatness, it recognizes it truly. And for Leo, who is often misunderstood and labeled as vain or arrogant, finding someone who sees beyond the surface and truly perceives the nobility of its heart is transformative. Sagittarius also offers adventure. Leo loves comfort, but deep in its heart, Leo is a warrior, and Sagittarius awakens that warrior, reminds Leo that life is a journey, not a static throne. But like every deep connection, Leo and Sagittarius also face challenges. Leo can be possessive sometimes, not from insecurity, but because when Leo loves, it loves with everything, wants presence, wants attention, wants to know it matters. Sagittarius, on the other hand, can be emotionally evasive, not from lack of love, but because it fears that commitment means loss of freedom. But here's the secret. When these two truly communicate, when they open their hearts and speak their needs without fear, they find balance because deep down, both want the same thing, a love that is grand, true, and eternal. And there's something more, something only those who've lived this connection know. When Leo and Sagittarius unite, they don't just create a relationship, they create a legacy. They're those couples who inspire others, who make people believe in love again, who show that it's possible to be intense without being toxic, passionate without being dependent, free without being distant. Leo appears in Sagittarius's life at crucial moments. Moments when the Archer began to doubt its own worth. Moments when, from searching outside so much, it forgot to look within and realize it's already complete. Leo arrives and says, not with words, but with presence, "You are extraordinary, and I won't let you forget that." And Sagittarius appears in Leo's life when the lion is tired. Tired of being strong all the time. Tired of carrying the weight of others' expectations. Tired of shining for an audience that doesn't understand the price paid to keep the light burning. Sagittarius arrives, extends a hand and says, "Let's go. There's a whole world out there waiting for us, and you don't need to be the king. You just need to be you." So, if you're a Sagittarius and have a Leo in your life, or vice versa, pay attention. This connection isn't casual. It's destiny in its purest form. You might meet too early, when you're not yet ready. You might drift apart and return several times until you get the timing right. But when you do, when you finally align, it's as if all the pieces of the cosmic puzzle finally fit together. Leo and Sagittarius are living proof that opposites don't need to attract to create magic. Sometimes the greatest magic happens when two similar souls finally recognize each other and decide that, together, they'll create something greater than either could create alone. But wait, there's something that hasn't been revealed yet. One final mystery. Because although Leo is the sign that completes Sagittarius's earthly destiny, there's another sign, a water sign, deep and silent, that speaks directly to the Archer's oldest soul. A sign that doesn't come to shine beside Sagittarius, but to plunge it into the depths of its own being. In the next chapter, you'll discover the final secret, the sign of the cosmic soulmate, the sign that closes all cycles and reveals to Sagittarius the deepest truth of all, that true love isn't outside, but is the mirror of the soul itself. There's a place where fire doesn't burn, where the arrow finally stops flying, where the eternal traveler finally finds rest. This place isn't a physical destination. It's not a city, a country, or a continent. This place is a soul, and that soul has the most unlikely name you could imagine. Pisces. Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, the sign that carries within itself all the memories, all the pains, all the joys of all the other signs that came before. Pisces is the ocean. And Sagittarius? Sagittarius is the fire that, upon finding this ocean, doesn't go out. It purifies itself. Throughout its entire journey, Sagittarius sought truth, questioned, explored, traveled, fought, loved, and got lost 1,000 times. Gemini showed that truth has many faces. Aries gave the courage to keep seeking. Leo taught that truth also lives in the heart. But Pisces reveals the final secret. Truth doesn't need to be found. It needs to be felt. When Sagittarius meets Pisces, something profound happens. There are no words, no explanations. There's only silent recognition, as if two souls who have known each other since before the beginning of time finally reunite. Pisces looks at Sagittarius and sees not the archer, not the adventurer, not the philosopher. Pisces sees the naked soul and accepts it, without judgments, without condition. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, the planet of transcendence, spirituality, dreams, and unconditional love. While Sagittarius seeks the divine through knowledge and experience, Pisces already lives in the divine. Pisces doesn't need to go anywhere to find God, because Pisces is the very presence of God, manifested in human form. And here's the deepest transformation. When Sagittarius is with Pisces, it finally stops seeking, not because it gave up, but because it realized that what it always sought was inside all along. Pisces is the water mirror that reflects back to Sagittarius, its own soul. And in that reflection, the archer sees for the first time who it really is. This connection is different from everything Sagittarius has ever experienced. With Gemini, there was mental excitement. With Aries, there was adrenaline. With Leo, there was passion. But with Pisces, there's peace. A peace so deep it's frightening. Because Sagittarius isn't used to peace. It's used to movement, to seeking, to restlessness. And suddenly, beside Pisces, it can simply be. Doesn't need to prove anything. Doesn't need to conquer anything. Doesn't need to go anywhere. Because for the first time, it's home. And home isn't a place. It's a presence. Pisces loves Sagittarius in a way that transcends human love. Asks nothing in return. Doesn't demand constant presence. Doesn't feel threatened by the archer's need for freedom. Because Pisces understands something few understand. To love is not to possess. To love is to liberate. And when you liberate someone with true love, that person always chooses to return. But this connection also frightens Sagittarius, because Pisces sees everything. Sees the wounds the archer hides behind the smile. Sees the fear disguised as courage. Sees the loneliness hidden behind philosophy. And not only sees, but welcomes, embraces, heals. And that's scary for someone who spent their whole life running from their own vulnerability. Pisces appears in Sagittarius's life when the archer has already learned all the lessons, when it has already traveled enough, loved enough, suffered enough, when it's finally ready to stop seeking outside and start finding within. This is the love that doesn't need fireworks. It's the love that is silent, deep, eternal. And here's the final mystery. The truth that closes the cycle. Sagittarius doesn't need to choose between freedom and love. With Pisces, it can have both. Because Pisces doesn't cage, Pisces flows. And in Pisces' flow, Sagittarius finally finds true freedom. Not the freedom of being alone, but the freedom of being completely itself beside someone who accepts it in its totality. And now, after everything you've discovered, I ask you, which of these signs has already crossed your path? Was it Gemini, the mirror that challenged you to question everything? Was it Aries, the warrior who reignited your flame when you were about to give up? Was it Leo, the light that shone beside you and reminded you of your own worth? Or was it Pisces, the ocean that finally taught you that true love is peace, not war? Leave it in the comments now. Tell me, and this entire community, which sign changed the course of your destiny? Because these stories aren't just yours. They belong to all of us. And when we share, when we open up, the universe listens and responds. If you've made it this far, it's because this message was for you. The algorithm didn't bring you to this video by chance. The universe conspired for you to hear exactly what you needed to hear today. So, honor this moment. Subscribe to this channel now, if you haven't already. Activate the notification bell to receive all the astrological secrets I'll still reveal. Leave your like, because it helps this message reach more people who need it. And remember, destiny isn't something that happens to you. Destiny is something you co-create with the universe. With every choice, every breath, every moment of courage. Sagittarius knows this better than anyone. And now you do too. Until the next video. May your arrow always find its target, and may your fire never go out.